die, dude! Okay, gamers. Level 45. Here's our stone speaker. Somebody's challenge Surtur.
You want to stop me?
Holy smokes. Dude. Dude, it's so much damage. It's so much damage. And he's dead. Just like that, he's dead. Imagine. And we got garbage loot. Yo, gamers! Here we are with another build at the end of normal difficulty, level 44. This is our stone speaker. Stone speaker is Earth and Rune Mastery. Going over our gear, we just finally got our upgrades to be completely worthy for Act 5 and potentially epic difficulty. The first thing you get for every build on my build guides are Stonebinder's Cuffs. This is an Act 1 monster infrequent that gives plus to skills and elemental resistance. You can see here it rolled 1 affix, which is a prefix called light, which is minus requirements, minus 8% to all requirements. That's pretty huge on this build because we went kind of hybrid. You can see in our attributes right now, we're basically 250 in each attribute, which is pretty incredible. We will continue just scaling intelligence, a little bit of dex. The way we're playing is melee with a dual wield weapon swap to thrown weapons for Thunderstrike. We'll go over those items here in just a minute. But ideally, you would scale intelligence, and then just the first difficulty, you kind of save your attributes points for the gear you want to equip, and then later, just because Rune Mastery is ideally the thrown weapon or intelligence warrior, you basically slam intelligence every time you're playing Rune. So Stonebinder's Cuffs is our first piece, almost always. Our second piece that was pretty important, we also got this in Act 1, is the Greaves of Pegasus. Pegasus rolls on Mage or Strength boots, and Pegasus gives 15% elemental resist, elemental damages by percentage, and movement speed. And you can see on here we put Essence of Hermes Sandals for the movement speed and the force completion bonus of Poison Res. That's pretty standard. I don't think I went over my Stonebinder's Cuffs charm, but the Stonebinder's Cuffs, the valuable charm that you put on this is Primal Magma. Now before that, typically I use Amun-Ra's Glory or just any other resistance you need. But Primal Magma doesn't drop until Act 5, so you have a long way to go until you get this this fire damage. This percent fire damage and percent burn damage, and then flat fire damage is insane. And then especially if you're auto attacking, you want to force it for the completion bonus of attack speed. All of this benefits our build because Earth Mastery is all about burning, fire, and physical damage. So that is huge for us. We've gone over our boots. Our next item on the list, you can get this as early as Act 1. I think we got this in Act 3. Don't exactly remember when, but Spellbound Prefix. The Spellbound Prefix is percent elemental damages, percent energy, and less energy cost. You can get that as early as Athens, I believe, in Act 1. Somewhere around there is when they start dropping. And then Golden Scarab, the force completion bonus is plus the skills. We've gone over that before. This drops in Act 2 outdoor areas. There's a Golden Scarab that can drop this thing. You cannot use this charm until level 30, so before that, basically use a Demon's Blood on your amulet or just any kind of resistance, or you can use a unique amulet until you get this access to this Golden Scarab. But the plus of skills is kind of really hard to pass up. There's plenty of other things you can do, but I really do enjoy playing plus of skills. Our chest piece is Honor Guard's chest piece. Honor Guard prefix gives armor, percent pierce res, and stun res. And it's a mage type piece, so it comes with energy regen as well. It's pretty flexible charm slot too. For our build, we have 20 pierce res and the completion bonus of bleeding resist on the rigid carapace. For a while, we were wearing this chest piece that has 53 pierce res. This requires a ton of strength. We had some swap pieces. You can see here I got 2 captain's rings. This is minus strength requirement for everything. We'll go over our rings right now. My first ring is percent intelligence, flat health, and energy. This is Diogenes Jewel of Vitality. Vitality is just the 300 health. And then Diogenes is 13% int and 6% energy. We have an Eider on here. Eider is 20 elemental damage. 20% of your weapon damage becomes elemental, and we got super lucky with the completion bonus of 14 flat elemental damage. Before we were using this, because you can't have Eider until Act 5, and I think you can get it in Atlantis a little bit. But early in the game, you can wear basically anything you want. And we were wearing Captain's Ring, which reduces requirements. And then our other ring is a Hail ring. The Hail gives percent strength and percent health. You can see that we got 25% strength and 11% health here. And then the of strength, obviously, is the flat strength. We were using this ring in combination with the Captain's Ring to allow us to equip this chest piece prior to this. I've decided to move away from strength, so that means we're going to lose strength requirements for armor. We might revisit it in the future, but the Will of Ajax, when we were missing out on stun res, our stun is perfectly capped, but prior to that, we were not capped. So we were using this. We got super lucky with the Essence of Will of Ajax completion bonus. This already has stun res on it. But the 30% stun completion bonus is Giga Chad if you can get it to roll. So that was one of our setups. We went over both of these rings. Our hat is Hallowed Hat. Prefix Hallowed gives Vit Res, health regen, plus the skills. We have on here Crystal of Erebus. If you get really lucky with the Crystal of Erebus, this gives another plus to skills. We were unlucky. But the percent strength, int, and dex is kind of nice completion bonus, so we're using that for now. If you don't need that, you can just get any sort of resistance that you're lacking. In my case, maybe another source of pierce res would have been nice. Not a big deal though. Stats are always good too. So we have 2 Blacksteel Executioners. Blacksteel Executioner always has flat fire damage, chance for reduction of enemies' health, and reduced armor. I have Zeus's Thunderbolt on here with flat lightning completion bonus. We're not really scaling lightning in particular, but because we are converting our weapon damage to elemental and scaling intelligence from rune weapon, we'll go over our skills here in a minute. Any sort of elemental damage on your weapon is completely fine. You might get a lot of benefit out of going attack speed as well. This one rolled Colossus. I think it's Colossus, the bonus damage prefix, and no suffix on here. And then the same thing here. We actually got Identical Blacksteel Executioner. Same kind of setup with a different completion bonus. This is also a Zeus's Thunderbolt. Percent lightning damage, flat lightning damage, and then the completion bonus is Energy Leech. That's our main setup. Before we were using Sabertooth, the Sabertooth MI sword with Giga attack speed. And you can see this Blacksteel Executioner has 33% piercing ratio. That is not important for our build, and we did want to make sure that we full convert our weapon to elemental damage, because otherwise we're actually punishing our damage by the piercing ratio. This Eider here is 20% elemental damage to base weapon, and then when we go over skills, this 81%, this puts us at 100%. So this Blacksteel Executioner does zero piercing damage, none, 0%, because the base damage is already elemental and you can't convert twice, and the elemental conversion happens first. So anyways, all that to say is we are doing 100% elemental damage when we auto attack. So that's our main bar setup. Before we could convert our weapon to elemental damage, we were using 2 Sabertooth weapons from Act 3. Those will giga cap your attack speed. And we had the same charms here. We just recovered the charms, so that's why I don't have the weapons. Our weapon swap is Fenrir's Bite. This has percent total damage, chance of bleed, frostburn, and pierce damage. And then slow res, and then percent total speed with bonus damage to deities. This one here, we weapon swap for Thunderstrike. Thunderstrike throws out 5 projectiles of your weapon if you're using bows or thrown weapons, and because we have 2, then your second weapon also throws out 5 projectiles, so that's 10 total projectiles. So we're building up our rune weapon. Once that's at max, it's only a couple hits. Then every time Thunderstrike is up, you weapon swap to get a really, really big Thunderstrike. So yeah, and then our second weapon here is the Runestones, flat elemental damage. This rolled with, I think that's tier 3 lightning damage, 9 to 29 lightning damage, whatever that one's called, static or something. I think static's tier 1, but anyways. Runestones, and then Essence of Blade of Thanatos, another 9% total damage and flat elemental damage completion bonus. That's huge. That is big, big damage. As you saw in the clip, we basically 1 Thunderstrike each phase of Surtur, and he just dies. So those are our weapons. The only thing we haven't gone over is our tried and true Shroud of Eternal Night. We got this very, very early on. We crafted it very early on, and it just stuck with us. If you get all the way through Act 4 and Act 5 without a relic or an artifact upgrade, you could get something more defensive. But as you can see, Shroud of Eternal Night is more than capable of carrying you through Act 5 difficulty. So 10 damage, 21 poison damage, 40 energy leech, 10 piercing damage, 20% vitality resistance, some stun res, some health, attack speed. We got the completion bonus of 10% physical damage, which is not a horrible thing, especially early on before we were converting our damage. A little bit of percent damage scaling is not a bad thing, but now it's not doing anything for us, so we should replace it soon. In Epic, we will absolutely do so. Okay, so that's our gear. You can kind of see with these resistances, we don't have Rune of Life on. Let me just put that on real quick. That puts us at 46 fire res, 31 cold res, 31 lightning res, 40 pierce res. We're giga capped on vit res, 80%. Only 20% poison res, so that was one of the reasons before we had pristine plumage. And then 30% bleed res, that's pretty nice. And right now we have 0 fizz res, but Earth has 15% fizz res, so that's kind of nice. You just need to maintain that buff. Okay, so that's our gear. Let's quickly go over our skills. We have fully capped rune weapon. This scales elemental damage, total damage, and percent intelligence. That's your main weapon attack. Magical charge is the first add-on. This adds 60 flat elemental damage to every auto attack. And then when you get hit in retaliation, you deal 120 elemental damage. Then also we have Energy Drain. This is some Energy Leech, percent attack damage converted to health, reduced defensive ability when you hit a monster, and you slow a monster also by 10%. This is only when you use rune weapons as your left click, your auto attack replacer. But you basically want everything in these two skills. You want all of this maxed, and this one's only a 1-pointer. Energy Drain, you can just absolutely 1 point. We went over transmutation a little bit, but just quickly, the way this works is your base weapon damage becomes elemental by 1%. The more points you put in here, the more percent of your base weapon damage becomes elemental. You want to get it to 100% at +4 to skills. I think it's 95%. Or maybe it actually +4, I think, is 112%. I can't remember. Anything over 100%, you don't get any added benefit to. So that's why we're at 80% with our Eider. That makes 100%. You don't need to go over. Just to stress that doesn't benefit you at all. Our next skill is Sacred Rage and Frightening Power. When you go below a threshold, you get 20% damage absorption. You get some energy regen. You get total speed. You get some minus recharge. You get slow resistance, and if you have this node also going below that threshold, you reduce enemies' health in a radius, you reduce damage by 26% at one point, and you have a chance to fear them, right? You shout and they've run away. This is a circuit breaker. It'll save your life frequently, even though it didn't save my life. Yeah, so this is you absolutely want to at least 1 point both of these skills, and that's what we did here. We are dual wielding, so you at least need 1 point here. If you auto attack a ton more than I would, it's worth maxing this out, but 1 point is more than enough. I never take energy armor. It costs so much energy, and it doesn't help very much. You just have to constantly keep applying it, and it's a very, very bad skill in my opinion. We did max out Runeward Feather because I'm playing melee for the first part. That 150%, that 150 offensive ability is very powerful. Minus strength requirements for all weapons is a no-brainer. You just almost every rune build will build with this Rune Feather in mind. Also, same note with strength and requirements. This one here will give you % strength, so this reduces strength requirements for weapons. This one gives you % strength, so in addition you also get 10% movement speed, bleeding res, and bit res. This one you scale. The more you need, the more points you just put in here, and eventually you will max this out. Our next very powerful skill here is Thunderstrike. We talked about this a little bit. It launches 5 projectiles, and if you have 2 weapons that throws projectiles, then it's 10. It's 5 for each weapon. This does 84% total damage, and then additional 2 to 20 lightning damage. It's massive. It's just a ton of damage. And then the only node that it has is some electrical burn damage, skill disruption, and chance for confusion. This is pretty okay. You only really want to 1 point it really for the skill disruption. The electrical burn damage is fine. If you're scaling that damage for a different build, then fine, but for now, we're only going to 1 point it. We didn't pick up Seal of Fate or its add-on. This is a good source of stun, and then with its add-on Aftershock, it does give you reduced resistances. We will take this eventually, but just not right now. Because our ring has Monkey King's Trickery, and then when you Thunderstrike, if they're not dead, now they have application of reduction resistance from Thunderstrike, or auto attacking anyways, so that's more than enough on normal difficulty. We'll pick up Aftershock on Epic. We're not playing with Mines. Mines is a really good skill, but for now we haven't picked it up. And then again, we showed you Rune of Life. Over to Earth Mastery, buff your weapon with Earth Enchantment. This is very important. At our current skill point allocation, it's 130% fire damage and 130% burn damage. It adds flat 5 to 8 fire damage to auto attacks, which is really big. This one here, 12% fizz damage and 46 burn damage over 3 seconds. We're not taking advantage of % physical, but we are doing some burn damage, so putting 1 point is a no-brainer. And then Stone Skin is free armor, and Fire Res, that's also a no-brainer. With our current allocated skill points, volatility is very, very important. Again, we're not doing physical damage, but there's a chance for 141 fire damage on 141% burn damage. So 33% chance is quite high. This procs frequently. You definitely want to take it and max it out. We just didn't have enough skill points. 1 point or heat shield for the fire absorption and the physical res. Very nice. You can play with stone form. I don't recommend it, generally speaking, at least on normal. We're not playing with pet, but we leveled up with Ring of Flame, and we've removed it down to 1 point. Same thing here. You don't need softened metal ever, because Ring of Flame is enough to carry, especially early on. We leveled with this early on, like I said, and then spec'd out of it. We just now have 1 point. This build won't use Flame Surge at all, but it is a fun skill. It's kind of like the Ice Shards, but the fire version. It's a little inferior in my opinion. Same thing here, Volcanic Orb we're not playing with at all. We can later, I just don't think it fits within our build very well. But Eruption, we will max this out. This is just the boss killer. You put it under the boss's butt and it just blows up. In the future, we'll work towards the level 40 skills, and we'll pick up Fire Nova. Fire Nova is a big AoE of flame and fire, basically. And then same thing here, we'll work towards level 40. And we may take Rune Storm. depending on our build. We actually might 1 point Runic Mines, and Runic Field is massive field of mines. We probably won't take that though. We'll just pick up some Runestorm. So that's our skills. Just quickly a note on our attributes. We went pretty even split. I spent probably 25, maybe 30 points in health. You can kind of see here. Rune is quite squishy in terms of HP. I'm at the end of Act 5 and I'm at 4,100 hit points. We put a lot of points in strength. We put a lot of points in dex. And we only recently started scaling intelligence. So you can see here we have 16 attribute points available. If you were to continue this build like I was planning on, we're just going to start scaling intelligence. I think you need 306 dexterity for Stonebinder's Cuffs, and that's pretty easy to get. But otherwise, we just go straight into intelligence. So, okay, that's the build. Stone Speaker level 44, boys. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!